Today's project is a 1994 Ford Bronco with an original equipment, idle air control solenoid, and throttle position sensor. They've been working hard for 26 years. It's time for a change. The first step is to loosen the 4 hose clamps and remove the air snorkel intake tubes. Vaseline applied to the inside of the hose will prevent it from sticking in the future. The throttle cable is clipped to a ball fitting. A screwdriver levered underneath will disconnect it. There are 2 coolant hoses attached to the throttle body. To prevent a coolant spill, it's recommended to drain the radiator prior to removing the hoses. Disconnect the EGR solenoid vacuum hose from the throttle body, but leave the electrical connection intact. With the EGR solenoid valve moved out of the way, disconnect the lower coolant line. Unplug the idle air control solenoid and the throttle position sensor. To remove the electrical harness bracket, remove the nut on the forward side of the EGR valve. Remove the 4 bolts that attach the throttle body to the upper intake plenum. It's important to replace the throttle body gasket any time it's removed to prevent vacuum leaks. Carefully remove the 2 Phillips screws from the throttle position sensor to prevent stripping them out. This throttle position sensor has no adjustment, but proper alignment with the throttle shaft is crucial for proper function. Fuel-injected automobiles have replaced the choke with an idle air control solenoid. To install the idle air control solenoid, just install the gasket 2 bolts and plug in the connection. Be very careful removing the gasket with a sharp object not to scratch the mating surface. Razor blades are definitely not recommended. I installed 2 alignment pins to hold the throttle body and the gasket in place as I easily installed the lower 2 bolts. Torque the throttle body bolts from 12 to 18 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern to prevent leakage or damage. Install the electrical harness bracket to the EGR stud. Install the lower coolant hose and tighten the clamp. Give it a tug test to make sure it's tight. Reconnect the electrical connectors and listen for the click. Connect and tighten the upper radiator hose. Press it firmly till it's fully seated. Reinstall the vacuum connection from the EGR solenoid. I'm reconnecting the idle air control solenoid plug. Snap the throttle cable back onto the ball stud. The snorkel hoses are next and we're almost finished. Don't forget to install the throttle cable dust cover.